Welcome back for another edition of Real Estate Roundtable. We've had some technical difficulties, but everything's working fine. We're here, we're ready for you, and we're talking July housing market numbers. And Jeff, I heard it was on fire and fuego.
Well, there's a saying, April showers bring May flowers. And in this case, it's April showers bring July flowers. And sometimes for some of it, like the June numbers were up. And you could have thought that was an outlier because we were closed down from mid May through, or mid March through, sometime in May. And then in June, the numbers were good. So when you're looking at pendings, when you're looking at numbers, your numbers are always like looking at the sun. When you look at the sun, you go out and you're looking at the sun, you're looking 8 minutes into the past. So if the sun blew up or something, we wouldn't know for eight minutes because we're always looking in the past. When you're looking at the star, you're looking at how many million, light years away. When you're looking at numbers, and it's why appraisers are always looking in the past. They're always 2 to 3 months behind schedule. So a typical closing is 45 to 60 days. So numbers today really reflect what's going on 45 to 60 days from now. And in addition, when we get numbers reported, they're usually a month behind schedule or 3 weeks behind schedule. So sometimes we're looking 3 months into the past. So the July numbers nationwide, the numbers, sales were up over June 24.7%. And that's terrific. And it sounds great, but is it really? Because if your numbers in June went down that much, then if your July numbers came up, it doesn't mean that it's good just because somebody says, well, there's a sale going on. It depends on what the price is, to begin with. The key to this, though, is, and I'm going to share my screen here. Let's hope this works. And it does. There's Homer taking his April shower, and there's our July flowers. But let's look at single-family homes. And this is what's key. Looking distantly back at 2019, not June, but to July. And the numbers are up 9.3% of an increase in sales from a healthy market last July versus a healthy market this July. So if you look at single family homes, there's 1,940 sales in Palm Beach County versus 1,775 in July. That's a big deal. So the numbers are up. Now this is single family homes, and the condo market and the townhouse market are lapped together. Those those markets are different and they're not as strong. I think it's weaker on the condo sale, but more about that a little bit later on. Now this is huge. If you look at average sale price, it's up 12.4%. Very significant versus a year ago. So there's the average price point is much larger, and it's also larger across the board when you're looking at all price points. I did an analysis this week for an article with a major publication, a financial publication, and looked at some of the country club, communities, and that's exactly the case when we took a cross section that's in there. If you look at original list price off, it's went up 0.9%. So that's key. And I know days on the market, which I don't have in here, is really strong as well. So look at pending sales. Pending sales are up 20.3% from a year ago. So what that means right now, like we're looking at what's September going to look like and what's October going to look like, and those numbers look really good. I got to change this in the blog. I've got August and September. I mean September and October. So our numbers there are really good. So what's happening at the ground on real time, which we're going to see then in the August and September reports, are going to be similar type of numbers that we're going to see, continuing a really strong market. And then this is the big number in here. The inventory. And inventory a year ago of single family homes was 6494, and now it's 4642. So that's a whopping 28.4% decrease in inventory in single family homes. And that is the reason this market, and when I look back at some blogs we wrote in May trying to understand the market, the market, we'll see if I can bring that up, but the inventory has been going down since 2011 or 2008 steadily. So our inventory, when we started this pandemic, we were at an inventory that in Palm Beach County that was 3 times less than it was in 2011 versus where it is today. And our population center and the amount of houses we have is much greater overall. So we are really running into a severe inventory situation of a perfect storm of what's transpiring. So even if we had some other things that could happen, because when you look into, I'll get into the future, we could have an increase in inventory and it wouldn't matter. Months of supply of inventory. We have 3.4 months of supply of inventory. So that's just nothing. 4.5 of last year is pretty low. So we're getting to very low inventory numbers, and that means prices are going to increase, and that means that assuming things stay parallel and other factors stay the same, but you should see prices increase, and homes will go on will move faster until we hit an equilibrium. So why is all this transpiring? And I'm going to go back to what occurred in what I wrote about in April and May, and those what happened in those markets are a number of different things. What's going on, which is transpiring. There's a shift to Palm Beach County and other urban areas where people don't want to be and have as much urban density. They want the outside. They're looking for the lifestyle they want. People today want a swimming pool. So they're looking for something that's different. We're able to work from home. We'll see what happens on Monday with school starting, but we're able to work from home. So there's a lot of people now who can work everywhere. It doesn't matter if they're in New York City or downtown Chicago. They're able to move to the suburbs or an area like in Florida and enjoy wherever they are. People who are moving here, they're seeing tax advantages where 0% income tax versus 8 to 13 percent plus in California, and other fees. So there's movement because of that. There's movement with where change of lifestyle. People are looking for some bigger homes today, and a shift of what they have. Interest rates are incredibly low. They're at historic low numbers, so it makes it much easier to borrow and to afford product that they couldn't have otherwise. So there's all these different reasons why there's movement, and especially to our area, and where you would expect when this whole thing happened, is Florida going to be a repeat of 2006 to 11? And the answer is no. The primary reason is inventory. And we don't have that excess amount of inventory. And that has come to fruition. So we were right on target when we were looking at that back in May. So the wild cards of what could happen and what can affect the future, giving it a future thing, is condo and townhouse sales, but more specifically, condo sales. And condo sales are mixed with townhomes, so it's harder to get the exact information, is what I was saying earlier. Condo sales are up though, and townhouse sales, but they're lapped together. So we're seeing more activity on the townhouse side. 7% increase, sales rose 10%. So those are huge numbers. The inventory, however, went up. So inventory is slightly up. There was 5,400 homes available in May. There's 5,700 in last year versus 5,700 this year, or an increase of a little bit more inventory. And months of inventory rose when homes are on the market from 4.9 months to 5.7 months. nothing terrible. But in Broward County, that's more heavy condo oriented, you're seeing sales are off 14.3%. So condos are, but there's another wild card with condos. In the condos, this is not the condo timing of sales. Condos typically happen in January through July. So as we get closer to more therapeutics, more vaccines and things like that, as we get into the first of the year when that market naturally occurs, we may see that market do some rebounding because people are going to be less concerned about being in a condo building where there's more of a shared environment, and there may be more opportunities to buy in condos. But that is a wild card. Right now, going on, there's rental evictions and house foreclosures have been on hold throughout the entire country. So that has an effect because you're gonna see some more demand and all sorts of movement that comes in there, and you may see something's happen on the foreclosure market. But usually, when foreclosures happen, it's the bad inventory that goes first, and there's so much inventory that an increase in this would be seen as healthy in some ways, Rob. So, but that is a wild card of how much of that is out there. Conversely, and this is really big, and this could really cause the inventory to really get low. There is so much pent up demand that we feel on street level. So we get 40 to 60 incoming buyer inquiries a day. We're the largest purchaser of Zillow leads in the northern Palm Beaches, and our website brings in a lot. And there's some other sources that we get leads in, and we have so many people that we're talking to, so many people that want to buy, and they haven't taken a trip down here. They haven't taken a trip down because they're waiting to see what happens. They're waiting for a house to sell. They're waiting to get on an airplane. They were waiting for the quarantine to be lifted. Florida just lifted its 14-day quarantine this week. So that means people are going to get on airplanes more or drive down here. It's also, as we get closer to season, we're basically entering September now, and Labor Day has passed. You can see fall now on the horizon. We're a month away from October. Baseball playoffs are coming up. Football's starting. I did my fantasy picks yesterday. But people start thinking Florida when they're up north. Do I really want to go through a year being down here in the winter? And we saw a hold off on vacation rentals when the pandemic happened. RVing became a big thing this particular year. Originally Airbnbs are off, now it's the other way around. So we've seen in the rental market a slowdown in the January, February market of seasonal rentals. I'm seeing some uptick in the last 2 weeks where I'm seeing inquiries come in all of a sudden. And I think as we get closer, that's going to happen, and I think there's going to be a wave. But we know on the purchasing side already, there is so much pent up demand in this area for movement, and we're also seeing movement from the Miami and the Fort Lauderdale market. So we've seen a lot of the free agents. People didn't have to sell, but now as people are selling up and they're starting to move their prices, we may have a long period of time where we have pent up demand. So number 3 in here is a very big deal in terms of purchasing. The last one is the economy and what happens with the economy, and that's out of my my pay grade in there. But taxes become important, and our state income taxes, which are so big. And when you move here, you get an 8 to 13% raise in your salary. That's a big deal, and over a long period of time, you take a 10-year, 20-year period of time, that equals a lot of wealth for people. So there's people making major decisions right now, lifestyle changes in their life, and that's kind of what I'm seeing right now going on in the market.
And Jeff, there's a lot of I've seen, from driving around, a lot of new construction all over the place. So, do you feel that a lot of people will, you said it's a low inventory. Is that that's what you said earlier, correct? Low inventory right now?
Yeah, but you're really there isn't that much new construction. There is and there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
We're under new construction, and there's reasons for that. One of them is a lot of the area is built out. So if you take the northern Palm Beaches, okay, you've got Alton and you've got Artistry going on, and they've got inventory. In an in-town situation, you've got some in Sonoma Isles, you've got some condo development, but that's it. You got small players. So there's one development going up and there's 85 homes, and another one where there's 24 homes. The big tracts of land over the last 30 years have all been developed. There is no more big tract of land to purchase. There's also, I was doing an article on the country club communities. So the country club communities, if you think about, so when 2006 happened and the market slowed down, and then we had the crash, the recession in 2008, and all things went haywire. You had Mirasol, you had Belle Isle. Well, you had Belle Isle was finished, but you had Mirasol, you had Frenchman's Reserve, Old Palm, and Jupiter Country Club had to change its model completely because they had modeled it on a very expensive country club, like more like a Frenchman's or Belle Isle or Mirasol, and they switched completely what they're doing. So those then, they had spec homes out there that you had buyers who bought spec homes to flip, and then you had regular people selling, and then you had the whole recession hit, and you had this perfect storm. So today, in the country club communities, you haven't had a country club community get started in over a decade. There's no more land for it. So the supply that we had that started, Jupiter Country Club started in, I don't know, 9 or 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever, that was the last one. And even when you go down south to Delray or to Boca, there is nothing that's going on with club communities. They're over. So you don't have so much new construction. Now, you've got new construction out west.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of new construction, like in Avenir and Westlake, and there is in the Boca area, and there's more inventory there, and when you're moving up to Port St. Lucie. But you don't have this giant amount of new construction that started like in 2008. We could use that inventory today, and you don't have any of that. So they have to ramp up, but there's only so much you can ramp out because it's moving out of the area. So our particular area where we're close to the ocean, and like I went snorkeling yesterday, and I had the most incredible day.
Yeah, I went yesterday too. Yeah.
Did you go yesterday?
We went to the beach, and it was crystal clear. I mean,
where did you go?
We just went to Jupiter Beach, a little near the dog beach, and there was a sandbar built up. So we were on the sandbar, and we went out. I can't tell you, Jeff. We probably went out about 100 feet out from the shore because you could walk the whole way out.
Yeah.
And it was crystal clear waters, visibility. I mean, I could see about 8 feet in front of me, and there were big fish going by, little fish. All those fish that you don't realize when you're swimming in the ocean are right around you. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I went to Coral Cove, and there it was so much was uncovered. So it must have been all the Gulf Stream, and I saw this puffer fish who was so weird with all these. He was white with these blue maze patterns on him, and all these squid. It was a school of squid that came by, and stingrays, and some big fish, and a bigger fish, which we won't talk about, but some. But it was really. I mean, it was the visibility was really cool. What were we talking about?
Well, no, I was saying, just about this area.
But that's right in our backyard. So when you're out in Westlake, you don't have access to that. You're driving, 35 minutes, off of North Lake to go get that. Where we in our location, we have, we're close to the mulch or the crevice and all that stuff. So our location's such an advantage for people.
Well, and I think too, Palm Beach County in general, you said 35-minute drive. That in New York, I think some people would be like, that's nothing, right? 35 minutes to get there, but we're so close.
There's huge value there. I mean, because you're paying a lot less. You're paying you're moving. That's the next. It's not as desirable of a location, but it's desirable because the prices are good. So it depends what you want. Mm-hmm. And for some people that's not important, and they want more home, especially a family, so it depends on what somebody's lifestyle is. But we're flipping. There's been a flip of once. So it's always been, if you think about Florida, why would, if you got off the boat and you were coming over from, and you went through Ellis Island, okay, you could go to there's slush, and you could take the subway, the wonderful smells of the subway.
Love the smells. Yeah.
And walk the sidewalks and 20 blocks and hail a cab or whatever. Or would you like to be in Florida and have the weather and not pay, an extra 8% in your income give to the government and do all this? I mean, it's a no-brainer. You pick Florida. It's just because of how people settled. So there's a flip going on in values. And when I left Chicago, the current home that we're in today has seen a really healthy increase each year in value. It's really, homes have almost, if you bought a home in 2002 or 3, in some areas it's doubled in price. Whereas in Chicago, you've seen prices went up, and then since '08 they've been steadily going down in the suburbs and in the city heavily. You buy a home there, you expect to lose money. So there's people looking to rent, and it's just because there's a population shift. So if you look at the population shift, whether it's Buffalo, Chicago, New York, Cleveland, whatever, there's people moving out of those areas, and we're the beneficiary of that. So people are they're able to work in different and live in different areas where they vacation today, and as there's infrastructure and there's businesses moving down here, whether it's Carrier or United Technologies or Scripps or all these different places, there's movement here, and there's advantages for businesses to move here as well. And then a lot of it, I think, was when we came here. I wrote there was a Starbucks in the mall. There was a Mexican place in Tequesta, and today there's 6 or 7 choices on Indian Town Road, and there's 20 Starbucks, and there's the malts, or and we have all the airports in our area as well. So there's everybody's got a relative at this point, if you live in the Midwest or the Northeast, that's down here, or a friend. So there's different reasons to move here as well.
What would you say to someone? Actually, can you stop the share on your screen? You're up, but it's I can't.
Yeah,
switch it.
yeah, I will. Hang on.
So how do you, someone who's maybe cold about selling their home yet, they're not lukewarm yet, they're thinking about it. What would you say to someone right now who, maybe I want to sell my home? Why would it be the time now to do that? Why is it the time right now to put your home on the market and maybe look for an upgrade, or maybe you're, I don't know. How would you tell someone that? What would you say to them?
I think if you're selling and you're really truly selling, you're in the best environment that is possible, because you don't know what happens in the future. And I don't have a future economic ball, but there's been a lot of PPP, that's occurred out there, and there is some uncertainty that's out there. So Florida is going to stay, our area, I'm totally convinced we're 2 to 3 levels ahead of the rest of the country. We don't have the supply issue, and we've got tax advantages, and we have we've got a better lifestyle and location. People are able to do that. So but I think if you are moving, you don't know what occurs. And if there was an economic movement that occurred, and we've printed $5 trillion, what's the effect of that? That would be the biggest reason to move, because you don't have the stars align like this very often, where everything is on everything's on par in terms of selling. So a seller just has this low inventory, and it gives a buyer not a lot of choices. So that may continue, but a lot of it becomes economic dependent. I think on a long-term basis, it's going to continue, because there's just going to be population shift that's coming here. But on a short-term basis, what happens with the economy is always up to whatever economist you believe.
And price.
And I'm not the right person for that.
And our home price is kind of steady at this point. I mean, No,
they're moving up.
They're moving up, so they're on the rise.
Well, and in the single-family home, townhome area especially.
Sure. Wow.
But you saw, in that condo townhouse, they were moving up. So if you looked at a year ago, they're moving up because of, because of the amount of inventory. So even the uglies that are hard to sell, the home that's not CBS, and um, that's not doesn't have the master on the first floor, and doesn't have the gorgeous lake golf preserve view, and doesn't have the modern floor plan, and doesn't have all the things that are in there. Those are moving. People are when people don't have choices, they have to settle. And they settle for I love the house, and maybe it's not the construction. We don't have to, we don't have to have the best view. This view is good enough. We have to remodel. So we'll deal with it, even though I don't want to. So those homes are moving right now. Where in other markets, they would take longer to sell. So maybe it's not even the price, it's just the movement. And we're in August and September and July. And there's a good 6 months of Florida, and there's a bad 6 months of Florida. And we are in the bad 6 months. So the renters are not here, the snowbirds are not here, the parents have bought for their families. That's over. So right now it's up is down, left is right. It's crazy world. But that could shift if there's an economic development that takes place, and the bottom won't fall out in our area. I'm totally convinced of that. But but could you see if somebody's got a house in Philadelphia and they can't move it, and that's preventing them from moving over here, that can cause an entire slow up in a market. Or if depends on where the unemployment stays, and there's trickle up effect, there's trickle up economics. So if someone doesn't have a job somewhere, then they can't go out and buy new bed sheets from Bed Bath and Beyond or Amazon or wherever they're buying it from, and the owner of Fieldcrest Cannon and all of the people who work there don't get the benefits of that. That's trickle up economics. So there's lots of things to watch going forward. But they've kept interest rates very low, and the Fed announced a period where you're going to see they're going to let the economy get hot. So you're going to see this for a while, and you're going to see some inflation, as well. And with inflation, that's going to naturally increase your prices. We're used to such a steady low, no inflation, period. So if inflation, there's talking about creeping up, a couple percent, your home value has to go up 2% in order to stay where it's at. So it should naturally go up a little. Where that hasn't been the case in a long time.
Well, and the other thing I've been noticing after talking to some people is doing these virtual things that we do, the virtual roundtables, the virtual open houses, sharing to you're talking about people from New York and Philadelphia and Chicago that are maybe sick of the big towns, the crime, the taxes, and they're migrating down here. So now we're able to reach those people, Jeff, in this virtual world where before they can search online, but they can see us now on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on our website, and it's just amazing that shift, I guess, to the virtual.
Yeah, I'm looking at us right now live on our own websites, our own channel.
Yep.
Echo Home Economic Echo Fund Properties Live. But yeah, that the when you do the numbers, when we're doing 3D VR tours for every home, it goes up 150% the amount of searches, because that's how people are searching today. When you do a really high quality VR tour, on all search, because whether they're looking at our website or they're looking at a national website or a local, people are searching that way, or the MLS. They can and people here. Mm-hmm. They want, they're in bed on a Sunday morning, and that's how they're looking. So you're seeing traffic happen that way and through all the different social media devices. I'm going to look at a condo today. We sold a condo. We're doing an open house live in here, and that's what brought the buyer in. Wow. From there. So there's different ways of searching.
Well, and and then on the website, if you're up in New York, you can sit there and say, I'd like to be by the beach. Click beach, and then you can search by your lifestyle. So maybe your lifestyle is that beachy feel, or maybe you're an equestrian, maybe you like horses, so you'd like to be out west more in Wellington area. You can do that on our website. There's so many tools on the website itself, which is just, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, no, all the things that we built really come into play now, and especially all the 3D VR stuff, and then what we're doing with with streaming live on all over the place. It's another way to, if you're selling, it's a completely different way to showcase your home, where a seller. The one thing a seller is concerned about is, has everybody seen my home that's possible, so I can get the best possible price and sell in the shortest amount of time. And all the ads that you're doing, whether it's streaming, like and doing an open house live, or doing a video and somebody sees it on YouTube, or the way they're searching, or doing a night shot, that brings out every buyer out of, you're uncovering every stone possible when you're doing something like that. So that's what marketing does. And buyers are searching differently today, and they're not searching in the same way. It is changing rapidly. It's like with the 3D VR. If you're not using that, you're absolutely insane, because you may sell fast, and you may sell for what you perceive to be a nice price, but you're not going to get the best price possible, out of it. And if it does shift and it takes longer, then that really comes into play even longer, because harder homes will take longer to sell and will take more of a hit.
It's been an amazing past, 6 months. Starting in March, didn't know what was going to happen. Nervous, a lot of people nervous. The housing market is going to crash, and now July has been insane. As you said, the fireworks. July 2020 delivered fireworks, and it did. I can't even. Agents will ask me to do a video of their house, their listing. I'll get over there, I'll do the video, and they'll call me. I feel it's like 4 hours later, and say, "Hey, I have this house under contract." Just got there to do the video, and it's that quick. Some of these places are just flying off the market.
Yeah, from a seller perspective, it is. There's few times I remember that are this good, because you can really time your sale. It's easy. You don't have. You may not be on the market as long, and you don't know how long these periods last, especially if something occurs. You've got a pandemic going on, and you've got uncertainty out there. So it makes it a very good time to sell, because it's very liquid, right now. And other markets are moving. If those markets slow down, it will have an effect on our market. So you're getting movements right now. You're getting a lot of movements in the suburbs, in metro areas. So if that shifts, and there's less movement in the suburbs where somebody can't move their house and they're trying to move down here, or different things, or it really slows up in the cities. And that could change when the pent up demand from what's going on with the rental evictions and the housing part of it, that could change, or if there's an economic development. So those are the wild card pieces that I'm looking at, they're just unknown.
I find it interesting, because I have a friend who's a real estate agent up in the Philadelphia area, and he has been crazy busy because people are moving out of the city and into the suburbs, and he said the same thing. He's like, and then those people that sold their homes to the people moving out of the city are looking to move elsewhere. So that's probably Florida, I would take it, maybe Texas, but they're coming.
Well, you're seeing movement. There's people who move. They may move from New York. They go to their vacation home that now becomes their permanent home in Massachusetts. They're saving on school. They're putting some dollars away there, and then they decide to get a vacation home, secondary home in Florida. That type of stuff's happening. There's also going to be stuff that is really unpredictable, like what happens with, there's no overseas traveling.
Yeah.
And is anybody going to really get on and do a boat cruise in the next 2 years?
Yeah.
So domestic travel and domestic vacation spots are going to be hot, whether it's here or whether it's in, Park City, Utah. I think you're going to see, I have a friend in Telluride, Colorado, who's an old ski bum, and his town is flooded with people, right now. So different spots that are location spots around the United States that are secondary markets are now becoming another secondary market, or they're becoming first markets. So that part's in there. But you've got there's still a lot of economic pain out there, and it depends on how fast some of this stuff comes back. There's people who are photographers, and they do weddings,
Yeah.
and they do other events. So the weddings will come back, but not if somebody's hurting economically, and some of the stuff is going to be lost. So like, fundraising events, that somebody was planning a fundraising event that was taking place right now, and they needed flowers or pictures for that event. There's not going to be a repeat of it. That's lost income. And so there's people who in different industries, we're fortunate, this time around, whereas we weren't in the 06 to 11 market. But a lot of people, there's people I know who are going through some really tough times, right now.
It's interesting though when you see businesses like, and you remember the business Potions in Motion, Jason over there at Potions in Motion. I interviewed him on Friday because he always has something new every time, and he talked about they did a fundraiser with, I think it was the American Cancer Society. I'm not sure on that, but I think it was the American Cancer Society, and they were doing it via Zoom. And what he did was he got with them and he said, let's deliver food to every person that's part of this fundraiser, and they could have a toast of champagne, and then he donated so much back to what they bought from him. So it's nice to see businesses too, local businesses. I know it's hard for a lot of local business people out there, but some of those local businesses that are still continuing to find ways to reinvent themselves. It's just nice, and that's one thing about Echo.
Every business has to. You've got to dig deep. That's what we did in March and April and May, and really figure out how the environment changed, have fun with it, and change your business model around. It's there's that old saying, the only thing constant is change, but it's really true, and it can be a lot of fun, with as it changes, and for those of you who not know a lot about Echo, we are a locally based, Palm Beach County business. We're based in Gardens, and everybody, here is a local, versus a lot of the other, these big box companies, whether they're, Coldwell Banker or Keller Williams, or they're based in Connecticut, they're based in Texas, they're based in Washington State. Chloe. No barking during Echo TV.
She says support local. That's what she says. Support local.
But we are a locally based company, which means the corporate jobs, you're supporting a local. You're not shipping those jobs out of state. Nothing wrong with those places, but that money's going to if it's Keller Williams, it's going to Texas. Is where the corporate jobs are. If it's going to if it's going to Coldwell Banker, it's going up north, or Sotheby's, it's going up north. Wherever, if it's Douglas Elliman, it's going to New York. So we're a local business, and you're supporting local, corporate jobs, that everything stays local in here. Everything from banking to whatever, or to you, or to anybody who's working in the back office. You're supporting local jobs.
And it's a great team. It's a lot of individuals. Every individual, as Jeff said, from the area. And it's a great team effort, and you've built that, and it's been an amazing ride, and it's continuing. This ride it was a little bumpy there in March, and now it's the roller coaster is going up. So I'm sure there'll be dips and valleys, and that happens in life, but positivity and staying ahead of the game is what we do, and it's been an amazing ride. And like I said,
more importantly, when are we drafting?
I saw your text too. Sorry about that. I got a little. I don't know if you could tell. Does my face look red on this? I got a little toasty yesterday. My Irish tan. I think the draft is next Sunday. NFL draft next Sunday. I'll send out all.
When is it? When does the season start? 2 weeks.
In September 13th, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I had the 5th pick. We have a 12-team league.
What'd you get?
I didn't like my. I picked. I got the running back from the Vikings, Cook.
Oh yeah,
and then I picked Mixon on the snake on the way back, but he's having migraines and might hold out. I went through a Bell situation a few years ago, and I picked some decent wide receivers, like the guy in Washington and Moore.
Yeah.
And
any Eagles?
So it's I have all these steady Eddie guys.
No Eagles?
So it's like a good team, but it's But usually that's when you do well, when you don't like your team.
Who's your quarterback? Nick Foles?
No, I don't even know who's going to win there. Fuller, not Fuller. Who's the guy on Murray on the Cardinals.
Oh yeah. Um, oh my God,
I think it was a good pick.
Yeah, they should.
I held out like late for tight end and quarterback, and just I picked a non-character guy, Kareem Hunt, in Cleveland.
Well, more importantly, I saw
that was like in the 7th round or 6th round, so that was a good pick.
More importantly, I saw the White Sox pitcher threw a no-hitter. I thought about you when I saw that no-hitter from.
Yeah, I watched that live.
Yeah, a one walk, right?
I looked at it like I looked at the game in the 3rd inning, and I see a no-hitter, whatever, and then I look back on the 5th, like we were watching a movie. And then I see bottom of the 7th. I said, Veronica, we have to stop.
Switch.
And I told Jade, you got to come here. And she's like just nervous nail biting, because even if you don't like sports, a no hitter
is crazy. Yeah.
Every play is a nail biter, because you don't know when it breaks up.
Yep.
And he made one. He made one error, which was his last pitch. But it went right. It was a good outfielder who was positioned right. But it was interesting how the catcher and the pitcher they saw something in his motion at the end of the 8th, and how they communicated with that, and they got him back on par. When it's like with us, when we know each other so well, we're able to communicate, better because of our model, how we work together as a team. And it's the same thing in sports. You've got to have good communication and figured that out. But yeah, no hitters are so.
Well, and
you ever watch one live? They're just great.
He only had one walk, right? So he almost had a perfect game, I believe, right? He only had a walk.
He almost had a perfect game.
Wow, that doesn't happen very often.
No, it's 19 times in White Sox history.
And at White Sox,
I've watched some. The worst one I ever watched was Joe Cowley, which was I think in 91 or something. It's just no hitter, and they gave up like a run. The Yankees scored. It was like 2-1. They almost lost, and he had like 8 walks and stuff. So sometimes you see a bumpy no hitter where they're hitting him hard and he gets lucky. This one was not. This was a incredibly down. He had 13 strikeouts and like 101 pitches in a no hitter, which is it's a lot of strikeouts in a no hitter, because you when strikeouts your pitch count goes up.
Yeah. I find it interesting too, watching these baseball games with the cardboard cutouts of the fans. My friend back in Philadelphia, he bought one of those, so he has himself in the Phillies stadium in the upper level. I forget where they had him, row 100 or whatever it was. I wonder if they're going to do that for football games too. I know the Dolphins, I guess, are going to have some fans, a certain percentage of fans. Philadelphia, not yet. I'm not sure about the other places, but it'd be very interesting.
Yeah, we're going to have Miami has 13,000 fans.
Is that what it is? 13,000? Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how many that fits, but I think you'd be able to. The biggest thing is just going to be able to time probably the coming in and going out. So that's going to be the biggest challenge.
No tailgating, I believe. No tailgating, they said. So it's pull in and get out and head in the stadium, I guess.
Well, it's going to be how do you probably have to stagger in and stuff like that. That's going to be the biggest challenge, so that not everybody's going in and out at the same time. Yeah. But it'll be nice to see some fans at least in there, and that's probably a fifth of capacity, I'm guessing. So
yeah, I think so.
That's a big maybe it's bigger. That's a huge stadium.
Yeah, beautiful stadium too. But well, I think
all right.
I think that does it for today. So another edition of Real Estate Roundtable. The market is hot. July market was crazy here in Florida. As Jeff said, July 2020 delivered fireworks. So thanks for watching, and join us next time for another edition of Real Estate Roundtable. See you, Jeff.
So long, everybody.